The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast coming to you May 25th, 2023. How you guys doing here? I originally had 2 episodes planned with a guest the last 24 hours, but unfortunately both guests couldn't make it last minute. Hopefully we're scheduled as guests next week or beyond. So it got me again, which is fine, because I when I beyond the curtain here, when I do these podcasts, typically if I have a guest scheduled, I always have a backup plan. If the guest is not able to make the show, I'll have a solo episode ready to go, in the event it doesn't happen. So I had topics, set aside, to be done in the event that the guest can make it. So I had that, and we're going to go. We got a lot to talk about on the podcast today. Got a lot to talk about. First off, I want to talk about Nikola Jokic's legacy and what an NBA talk can do for him. Tonight's Game 5 of the Celtics and Heat. Can the Celtics pull off a miracle? I hope not, of course. I'm a Heat fan. Ron DeSantis Presidential campaign off to a rocky start already. He launched last night on Twitter, and that didn't go as planned. I also want to get to a topic, a discussion I got with a couple of friends of mine at work yesterday about sharing finances with your spouse and how that works. And, of course, we also remember the incomparable icon, Tina Turner, who passed away at the age of 83 yesterday rather. So very, very sad news came in yesterday. But, the NBA Finals starts next Thursday, regardless of when these Eastern Conference Finals end, hopefully tonight, as a Heat fan. Game 5 of these finals tonight. We just got word that Gabe Vincent for the Heat will be out for tonight's game. Of course, he hurt his ankle in that game, in Game 4. He stayed in the game, but we all knew that obviously with adrenaline he can go through it. But once things settle down, that ankle will swell up, and it sure did, of course. Although I'm not sure if it's Spoelstra being a little more careful, folks. I'm scared. I don't give a damn if anybody says it now. I'm scared because I know it's like Game 4 is must win, 3-0 lead, but folks, the Boston Celtics are very much capable of winning up 4 straight. I don't give a damn what he says. I'm not going to stop telling you, you're just scared. He got this. 1-1. It's okay. It's okay. And yes, I know the stat that teams that are down 0-3 are 0-151. 0-151 in NBA history. It's never happened. So you have that on my side. But I do believe that at some point that streak will end. I just want to be this series. Seriously. We've seen 3-1 deficits overcome. In fact, it's become more common now that 3-1 has been done before in NBA basketball. And I also truly believe that we are in an era where I believe 0-3 deficit can be overcome depending on the teams. Because the shooting, for example, changed everything. And Boston's shooting, for as bad as they were in games 1-3, at 3-point shooting, Game 4 they went lights out. They had 18 3-pointers in that game? And yet, I wouldn't even say that's the reason they won that game. And that's one reason why they won the game, but the reason they won Game 4 rather, was because of the Miami Heat. Too many mistakes. They play with the food. They play with the food too much, too long. And you do that, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. So Game 4 tonight. I'm worried. I don't care what everybody says. I'm worried. Game 5 rather tonight. And you got Vincent out, who's been a very, very key player for the series for the Heat. I understand. Yeah, I'm close to the situation because I'm a fan. I'm invested. So obviously, you want you want your team to go through, and you always worry about every little thing. Hell, you guys just saw me after Game 4. I was livid they couldn't clinch last on game 4. Even though they're up 3-1. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I respect this. Look, I'm not, obviously not a Celtics fan, but I respect this team too much. I know at any moment, at any given moment, Jason Tatum can go off, as you saw in game 4. At any given moment, Jaylen Brown can go off. Although he's had a really bad series, and I think he's hurt. You know, they have the shooters. Al Horford can decide to come out, and he did on game 4. Grant Williams, 14 footers in that game. So you can't tell me that I should be fearful of this game, because I'm fearful of this game. In fact, if you ask me now, look, even Vegas agrees. Vegas right now had that as last I checked yesterday was the Celtics were a 7.5 point favorite to win Game 5. And I figured Vincent being out, I imagine that would probably increase these 8 points. You figure, oh, how's Game Vincent, a undrafted guard who's not even a star, impacts the game, impacts a spread like that. But again, he's had a huge series. So that line can move to 8, maybe 8.5 by tip-off at 8:30 tonight on TNT. Very possible. So yeah, I'm worried. If you ask me right now who thinks win the game, I got Boston winning this game tonight. I would love to be wrong. You know, I'm the one that said Celtics in 6. That's not going to happen, because if they win the series, it'll be in 7. I'd love to be wrong. Well, my boys said, sit in the sword. You know, sit and twist. I'll be more than okay with that. I'll the Heat win the series. But let's also respect the opponent here. Boston's a good team. This team won 57 games this year. You know, respect the opponent. Yes, they're very streaky and frustrating, and you know Tatum, you know, while top 5 player, top 5 talent, should I say, you know, part of the reasons why I had a hard time putting him in top 5 is because of these moments. He's until game 4, you know, he didn't show up in the fourth quarter in any of these games. So you have to respect the opponent here. So it may come down to game 6, because if they lose let's say that he loses tonight, game 5, back to Miami on Saturday for game 6, and you lose game 6 too, good luck winning game 7. And I say that with a Boston team that's been average at best. I've been pretty. I mean, for a playoff team, a 2 seed last couple of years, pretty bad, pretty substandard at home. If I'm not mistaken, I think in the last 2 years in the playoffs they're like under 500. I think like 10 and 11 at home in the playoffs the last 2 years. It's pretty bad. But again, at the same time, they did clinch a virtual East Conference Finals last round at home. So that's not lost on me, of course. So yeah, I'm worried. I'm absolutely worried tonight's game. Can it pull a miracle? I look, the odds are they won't do it. But again, one game at a time. You win this game tonight. Vincent's out tonight, especially. It's a big deal for the Heat, considering how good the series he's had. Then the pressure's on Miami now. Yeah, Boston's pressure too, because that's to win the game, get the game 7. But you know, the momentum starts to swing a little bit now there. Boston's up 1-2 in a row. Going to get a third one now there. And then win that third game in game 6, then you go to game 7, and what happens there? Game 7, it's in Boston home. Yeah, substandard 2 years at home. Record at home. But you can't tell me they couldn't win that game. You can't tell me they couldn't possibly win that game. I don't want to be the stat that break. I don't want to be the series that ends that streak. 0-151 all time. 0-3. This is a 2 seed, guys. This is a 2 seed. Okay, this is a team that was just in the NBA Finals last year. A lot of pressure there, and at moment's notice can do this. At moment's notice can go off. Can go off. So yes, I'm absolutely worried. Game 5 tonight, TNT. Can't wait. I'm nervous as shit. I'm nervous as shit, man. I really am. So we'll leave it there. As you guys know, I said the NBA Finals start next Thursday. No matter what. So the Nuggets are going to have Nuggets clinch on what? They clinch on Monday. So they're going to have 10 days off prior to the game, to game 1. No matter what. They took care of business. They didn't play their food like Miami is. They took care of business in L.A. Won in the sweep over the Lakers. So there's a lot of space now to talk about the Nuggets and this story. And, of course, Nikola Jokic is front and center of that because Nikola Jokic right now might be the best player in basketball now. I mean, at this point, next year we go into we do our rankings next year on the podcast of ranking top 25 guys. Me, myself, Chris, and Zach. We did this last year, and controversial at best, but Jokic would probably be my top two, probably number one, maybe 1A, 1B with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Maybe. This is what the NBA title could do for him, though. His legacy. And not just in the present, but also all time. A Nikola Jokic title can do a lot for perception. Not just in the present day, but also going forward. Jokic wins the title this year. Now we're talking about him being an all-time great center. Not just in the top 10 anymore. We might be having a discussion about top 5. Because not only that, he'll have the title to deal with. He still has more years in his prime to go. I don't see him slowing down for a little while. He's only 29 years old. Okay, he's still another 3, 4, 5 years left in his prime. This Denver team's gonna be really good for the next couple of years. I explained to you guys in the last podcast their contract situation. Their core guys are locked up for 4 years. Their core guys are locked up for the next 4 years, 3 to 4 years. So this could be the norm for the next couple of years. The Denver Nuggets right now, being in the NBA Finals, or at least in the conversation every year, could be the normal conversation for the next couple of years because of the situation, because of stability. The 4 guys, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr., all locked up for at least the next 2 or 3 years. All 4 guys. Okay, so a title for Jokic can do a lot of things for him. Obviously, in the present, he's probably going to be the number 1 best player in basketball, if he's not there already now. Okay? I mean, those numbers are the numbers. Remember, it's empty stats here. Triple-double, who cares? Empty stats. They ain't empty anymore because now they constitute winning now. How this guy comes up, out of nowhere, you watch him play, it's like, wow. How does this guy fall into 10 assists, 10-plus boards, and then 25 points plus a game? And he just does it so nonchalant. It just kind of falls into it. It's crazy. If Jokic won a title, this is what happens to Nikola Jokic win the title. You start talking about him in top 5 centers all the time. Because there's centers in the top 5 right now that don't even have a ring, probably. Or it's certainly a conversation that don't have rings. You're talking about guys you talking about guys like Patrick Ewing, and you talk about guys like some of those guys like that, that get the love, but they don't have the rings. So top 5 centers, not in any order: Kareem, Shaq, Wilt, Russell, I guess, is in there too. Also, Dave Robinson's another one. I mean, at the rate he's going, he isn't surpass Dave Robinson at least. Moses Malone has a ring. But I can argue Jokic right now with what he's doing now, with the numbers he's doing, putting up right now, can surpass him too. There's no question right now that Jokic is the top 10 center of all time. I said this entering the playoffs that he's the top 10 center of all time, and depending on what he does with the season moving forward and the rings and all that, because the rings, remember the rings aren't the be all end all. I've said that all the time. The championship rings aren't be all end all, but what the championship rings do, they weigh the argument, they weigh the conversation. Dirk's one ring, especially the ring you win, like Dirk Nowitzki's one ring he has in Dallas from 2011. It's not just the fact that he won the one ring. It's a very heavy ring because of who he beat going forward. He ended the Lakers dynasty, okay, beat the young OKC Thunder, and then beat the Big Three Heat in year 1. So that ring is heavy. It's almost equivalent to 2 rings. Maybe a third. That's just 2 rings. Jokic kind of, I won't say that it has the same weight, but the performance with it. He's doing this without an all-star player also. So there's a little bit of comparison between Jokic and Dirk in terms of, both are European players, but also somewhat style, I guess. Although Dirk, I would say, was a little more less awkward than Jokic. Jokic is certainly a little awkward. But Jokic wins a ring, which he's going to be the favorite no matter what. Whether they play Boston or Miami, Denver's going to be the favorite to win that series. It changes everything. That doesn't the present, Boston all the time. Does he enter the top 25 discussion? It's very possible. Because there are guys in the top 25, top 20 that don't have rings. In my top 20 that definitely don't have rings. Guys like Elgin Baylor or Charles Barkley don't have rings, but they're in my top 20. You know, Nikola Jokic wins a ring, and also what he's doing number-wise and what we expect moving forward. I think a top 25 discussion is definitely something that could be had. Absolutely. So these finals could do a lot for his legacy. So just saying. I mean, obviously, personally, I'm a Heat fan, so I want Miami to get the job done, win this series first off tonight, hopefully tonight, and then go on and beat Denver. Although I don't expect it. If it was Denver and Boston, I was rooting for Denver. You know, but no, it's gonna be a fascinating finals, and the Jokic thing, and it still surprised me that people are looking at this as was it the Lakers not in there, or you know, Boston to be in there and whatnot, and the Warriors not in there now, so Denver's boring team. Do you watch basketball? Like Denver, I watched Denver. I mean, I'm a League Pass guy. I'm an NBA diehard. So Denver is one of the most fun teams to watch in basketball. They play beautiful basketball. For all the numbers that Jokic puts up, they move the ball so well as a team. They're very connected as a team. Like it's almost San Antonio Spurs-ish, 2013 Spurs-ish in a sense. Although Jokic is a lot more dominant than say Tim Duncan was at that point in his career. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful brand of basketball. I wish we appreciate that more. So it's going to be a fascinating finals, whether it's Denver, Miami, Denver, Boston. Well, hopefully Denver, Miami, of course, but we'll see what happens there. All right, let's switch up here to some politics here. Last night, and I announced in the last podcast we did on Tuesday that Ron DeSantis was expected to announce his presidential campaign at some point this week. Literally an hour or two after I logged off the podcast and put it to publish, they announced he was doing a launch on Wednesday on Twitter Spaces, which he did yesterday on Twitter Spaces, and it was kind of rocky a little bit rocky. You guys know about Twitter Spaces. It's a audio only platform on Twitter. Elon Musk. It was to sit down with Elon Musk and some other dude. I forgot his name. I'll look at it now. No fact check. And basically, you know, the whole thing was mired in technical difficulties and delays. Like I don't think the thing went off to like 30 minutes after the fact. You know, a lot of people are saying, "Well, this is great. You launch your president's campaign on Twitter. You can't even hear the damn thing. It's all screwed up, all fucked up. Is this a sign of things to come? Maybe. Who knows? I will say his donor list to his credit is pretty big. You know, there are a lot of Republicans that clearly want for Trump. There are clearly a lot of Republicans who want for Trump. But I'm, you know, my feeling on this, as someone who's a moderate, as someone who actually at one point was willing to give DeSantis a chance a year or two ago, because I praised the way he handled COVID here in Florida. You know, I thought some of the things he did here in the state was pretty good. Teachers' pay, environmental things he did here, reversing some of the Rick Scott stuff from prior to 2018 here in the state of Florida, which I live in, by the way, for record. But again, this is where he lost me. He lost me on the culture shit, all the culture wars, the ban the book stuff. You know, why aren't we talking about policy? Why are we banning books? And the most annoying thing of all, the whole woke this, woke that, woke. Jeez, shut the fuck up with the woke thing. Seriously. Enough of the woke thing. Focus on policy. You know, for someone that wants to talk about bring America back and all this stuff, you sure as hell like to pander to the side on the one side of the aisle. People like me, the moderates who would vote Republican if you find the right candidate. But you're still worried about woke. Like enough already. Enough of the culture shit. Enough of the trans stuff. Enough of the banning the book stuff. Enough of that crap. Like, this is where he lost me. Now, this is what I will say. Here's what I'm curious about Ron DeSantis in terms of what the polling. Because right now the polling shows that Trump is not only in a lead in the GOP, he has a massive lead. After the governor DeSantis won the re-election here in Florida, those polls that showed that him and Trump were a little closer. Trump was in the lead, but it was a lot closer. And then when all this stuff with the banning the books and all this stuff started happening, his fight with Disney and all that, Trump started to pull away, and a lot of people who were in the DeSantis camp started saying, wait a second, no, you don't want that. I'm a Trump now. I do wonder though, because all that happened when DeSantis was not even declared a candidate yet. I do want to see the first wave of polling. Where is it? A week from now, 2 weeks from now, post since DeSantis declaring to run for president. I want to see that set of polling and see if it still matches up to what it was before he declared. I'm very curious to see how he matches up with that, because I know for a fact there's a thirst of Republicans that I know of personally too here that want to move on from Trump. There's a thirst. There's also a thirst of people here, especially in Florida, that want DeSantis to focus on staying governor first and then run in 2028. I get that part too. But ultimately, I don't know, we'll see. It's going to be a fascinating race. It's rounding out now too, especially. Tim Scott announces his candidacy as well too. Obviously, you have Nikki Haley in the race as well. No shot there. Mike Pence, I don't think it's actually officially announced yet, but come on now. Asa Hutchinson is in there, but come on now. 0% polling. Come on. 1% maybe. I don't know. We're here now that Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, who said he wasn't going to do it. Now he's considering doing it now. Chris Christie's supposed to announce his candidacy. I like Chris Christie a lot, actually. Chris Christie is one of the more moderate Republicans I do like. Although his stuff in New Jersey, the highway thing, a little troubling there, of course, but it's going to be a fascinating GOP race. But here's the thing, too, also with the race. This is how I assess it. The more people that get in the race, the better for Donald Trump. The more people that get in the race, the better for Donald Trump. So if you're trying to take down Donald Trump, is it smart for the Republicans who don't want Trump to win, especially, to coalesce behind one guy? I would think that the Chris Christies and the Youngkins and whatever would coalesce. If indeed they wanted to go behind Trump, or get rid of Trump to be the face of their party, coalesce behind DeSantis, who's obviously the other guy. Clearly, that's the case. I also wonder if a lot of these people here, too, Christies and the Nikki Haley's, and I also wonder if they are, and they probably are, position themselves for a vice presidency or running mate, being Trump's running mate. I think Tim Scott could be positioned himself as one too. I think Nikki Haley's definitely an option. I mean, Carrie Lake, who lost it in Arizona, she's definitely Trump, female Trump, but she's way too polarizing. I don't know if she would do well on the national stage because she's way too polarizing. Just saying. Trump did say also. I think Trump did say. Don't quote me on this though, but I think he did say that he would like a female running mate this time. But it's gonna be a fascinating next year because look, we're in June next week. Okay, debate's gonna start very soon. I think debates start this summer. Before you know it, we'll be in the wintertime, and the first caucus will begin next year. As someone who follows this, as a fan, and I look, whether or not you are Republican, Democrat, Liberal, Conservative, moderate, maybe. Me personally, as at 43 years old, I love the election. I love the campaign. I love all this. I watch the circus. I watch all my political shows, my political podcasts. I love all this stuff. This is like sports for me. And I think this is a fascinating. This is another fascinating loop here. You know, who's going to take on Joe Biden? Joe Biden's definitely vulnerable. Hell, he's so vulnerable that the Democrat Party is so scared to primary him because the RFK Jr. is polling better than he should. In that, I saw a poll recently that RFK Jr. has 19%. Look, that's your party, and I get that, but I think it's ludicrous that you don't even allow a primary to happen. And that's not exclusive to Democrats. Republicans did it too with Trump when they tried to primary him with Justin Amash in 2019, 2020. They didn't allow a primary there either. So let's be real, and Joe Walsh as well too. But I think it's ludicrous that you'll allow you sit there and say about democracy and freedom, and then that the one thing you in your bag to show that you won't use it. Makes no sense at all. So, but like I said, it's gonna be a fascinating. It's going to be a very fascinating next year and a half. It's going fast. We're almost in June. We're literally days from June. Summer's going real quick. We're going to have debates this summer. I'll be locked in, definitely. I'm going to have, especially with this podcast, I'm going to have a lot more guests on from both sides of the aisle to discuss these things, discuss the races, discuss policy and what they want to see, liberal and conservative. We'll open borders here, dude. We'll open discussion here. We don't have time for bullshit. We don't have time for wokeness and racism and all that. We want to talk brass tacks here in this podcast. We want to talk everything here. So I'm gonna have people on both sides of the aisle, as long as you're having productive conversation. Even if I disagree with you, we're good with that. There's that. All right, so a couple things I got before I get out of here. I want to talk about a discussion I had yesterday at work. A couple of friends of mine, and we were talking about sharing finances with your spouse. And I don't know if it's me, but I feel like I'm the minority when it comes to that discussion. At least me and my wife, because everybody I talk to about that, apparently most people I talk to, I would dare say 85% people talk to through the years, even now, say that even while married, they still split their bills, split their finances. And to me, it's weird for me because I'm not saying it's wrong or right. That's a personal decision you make with your spouse and yourselves. But it's weird to me because my wife and I have been together 17 years. Okay, we've been married 12. And we've been sharing our finances from, honestly, this goes pre-marriage. We've been sharing our finances since pretty much the first year we were dating. It's strange. It's very strange because I'm very old school. I'm very traditional. I think a lot of it too for me is that I look at my marriage, not just as a marriage or as parents. I look at my marriage as a team. Like Lauren and I are a team. And what we do, everything we do together, we do together. Now, I'm not against the idea of having separate incomes and separate, bank accounts. I think that's, in fact, it's something that her and I even discussed because one of the negatives about that for us is that it's hard to surprise her with gifts because if I spend, say, $200 on a spa day and she has access to the account and she sees there's $200 missing to this place, she's gonna ask where that money come from, and I gotta tell her, oh, I don't know. It's for you, for your gift, for you. So that's a negative part of that. It's harder to surprise your spouse with whatever. So for example, we did discuss actually recently too, also about maybe having our own accounts for allowances in terms of like we get paid together and we split our bill. We obviously pay our bills and all that stuff, but for our individual things, like she likes to go to Disney World and all that stuff and buy gifts from Disney. I like to do podcast equipment and concerts and stuff of that nature. So I have my own stash, if you will, and we discussed that, and it's under consideration. But in terms of the bills, and the rent and the kids, there was no splitting it really. We both get paid, and we both just it's there and that's it, and we're a team. What's my money is her money, and vice versa. And the funny thing too, also with that, I hear all the horror stories from people about how money was the reason their marriage fell apart. We have never had that problem, and I'm being very serious about this. We have never, money has never been an issue with my wife and I. Never. We've always been transparent about our money. And that's one of the things I think I knew early on, that she was right for me. Because they say money is the thing that changes a lot of marriages. And relationships as well, too. Across the board, whether it's marriage or friendships, whatever it may be. We never had that problem, ever. Not even a little bit. We may disagree on how to spend certain things and direction of things, and that's something that's natural. But in terms of like how we operate as a household, we've never had issues with that. And to me, it's almost like strange for me in a sense, but yet I'm the minority in that one. It's very strange. So I know I'm not saying that the way we do it works for everybody else. It works for us. It works for me and her. But I was just shocked at how rare it is that what her and I do as a couple is very rare. There's a lot of trust involved in that. One of these days I'll probably be on the podcast again soon, and we'll probably discuss more of that in detail. Because I'm not even recommending you guys listen to this podcast. You do that. I'm not saying you guys should do that. I'm just saying that it's never been an issue for me and her. And it's worked through 17 years. And we were doing this even before we were married. Before kids. So, just saying. All right. One more thing we got out of here. One more thing. Yesterday, sad news, entertainment, music. You guys know I love music. I'm passionate about music probably more than anything else in the world. Outside my family, of course. But the incomparable, the icon, the legend, Tina Turner passed away yesterday, age 83. First off, I follow her career pretty much from the time I was born, because I've always been a big fan of hers. Always been a big fan of hers. And I knew she was older, even as a kid. I knew she was like, at the time in her 40s. But it kind of fell away that she's 83. Like, I thought she was still like maybe at least in her early mid 70s. And the reason why I say that is because she's looked terrific throughout her entire career. She's looked flawless. She was performing in her 70s and looked fantastic. She had the greatest legs ever, for the record. Her legs were out of this world. Beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. Had a question early in my childhood. Tina Turner her story is one of tragedy, but also one of triumph. Obviously her very much public relationship with her then ex-husband, estranged husband, ex-husband rather, Ike Turner, abuse. That was chronicled in a movie, What's Love Got to Do With It, based off one of her most popular songs ever. That came out in 1984. I always said that Tina Turner, for me, I think Tina Turner, and low-key for me personally, was one of my gateways for my love of rock music. Because she was a black woman, but she didn't do just soul. Like, a lot of her music was very rock-based. Rock and roll-based. And I love the music, of course. Sure. To me, Tina Turner, even today, is underrated, actually. As a vocalist, she has a unique voice, but sounded fantastic. As a performer, very underrated. People always talk about Beyonce, for example, and they compare her to Michael Jackson or Diana Ross or other. And it makes sense. We're wrong. It still makes sense. But I've always said that the real comp of Beyonce, and I said for years. I can brag about this because I said for years. And people who know me will tell you this. The comp of Beyonce really was as a performer anyway, especially, was Tina Turner. And I've been saying this for years. So, yeah. HBO did a documentary on her actually 2 years ago, which I had saved on my HBO. You go through the list of things on HBO's menu, and you can save it to watch list. And I had to save my watch list for 2 years. Never had the chance to watch. Never didn't go back to watch it. Obviously now with the passing, it's brought back now that, and I'm probably gonna end up watching it sometime this weekend. Especially now as I get more time to watch content now because the NBA is starting to come down, wind down to the very end. But Tina Turner, fantastic icon, truly one of the greats. We say icons, we say this cliches, but with Tina Turner, honest, and I'm saying this as someone who's 43 years old who watched, especially her comeback in the 80s and 90s. It applies to her. She's an icon. She's an icon, and I don't know what happened health wise. She had a long battle illness. That's if the family decides to release that information to us. Obviously, we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's a great one. Truly one of the greatest performers of all time. Underrated too. Tina Turner, rest in peace, age 83. And that will do it for today's podcast. Of course, dated May 25th, 2023. I guess I am on Twitter at @EJChristian7. Guys, check out the YouTube page, especially too at youtube.com/@EarnestChristian. We get all my work. Also, if you love pro wrestling, check out my wrestling podcast called Take 3 Wrestling, which we're doing a new episode, I think, tonight, recording tonight, dropping tomorrow. Other than that, enjoy. Go Heat. Go Heat, bitch. Game 5, please pull it out tonight. And that'll do it. We'll talk to you guys later. God bless y'all. See y'all.